New Zealanders have to have the conversation to forge the relationships that are now a vital part of our national identity and culture.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Speaker, before I address the substantive issue in my speech, I just want to cover off one point in respect of Nick Smith and his comments about ACC. There's a very interesting way that, of course, you can save money in ACC, and that is if you restrict the resource to folk. And I make this point and I ask this Minister a question. How many constituents have walked into his Nelson office and told him that they cannot get an operation because ACC has told them that their operation is based on anatomical wear and tear, but they're only 21 years old? 21 years old, but it's wear and tear, it's not an accident. Well, I say to those members over there, if no one has gone into Nick Smith's office or David Carter's office when he's around, then the question is, they're all lining up at ours. 21-year-olds who are saying, hang on, I've got wear and tear from old age, that's why I'm not getting my operation, it's not considered an accident. But we'll move on. But we'll move on from the ghost that walks over there who resides near the hills somewhere in Canterbury. Let's deal with that thorny issue, sir, of asset sales. That has been canvassed here today. And we've heard the Minister of Finance yet again talk about mum and dad Kiwis going to be first in the queue. Then he says, when asked, how will you guarantee that? And how, by the way, will you guarantee that those mum and dad Kiwis, as they have in the past, because they're scratching for a bob, when somebody from foreign shores comes to them and says, I'll make you an offer you cannot refuse and buy your shares, how are we going to prevent that? Oh, we're going to trust the people. And then he says, sort of this elegant argument he tries to construct, that if you don't trust the people, then, there's something wrong with that. Well, of course we trust the people. We trust the people to do what is right for them in looking after themselves and their families. And if those lucky individuals who, according to Bill English, are awash with cash, there's cash everywhere in the household budget, to whip down to the stockbrokers and buy a share in the assets that they already own, that government's going to, in a benevolent way, offer them back to buy back again. If there are mums and dads out there that have that cash, then I don't blame them. If they bought those shares, they're made an offer they can't refuse, they know they can make a few bob, they sell those shares off and apply that money to the necessities of life for their family. I trust them to do what is in the best interest of themselves and their families. But the fact remains that no one on that side, from the Prime Minister to the Minister of Finance to any of those great geniuses who sit in the Cabinet, can tell us how they will prevent on sale, how they will prevent foreign domination, and how they will guarantee that mum and dad Kiwis will be first in the queue, because Bill English read out a list from the Contact Share Register. Origin, a couple of other names I can't recall, and he said, well, we can't tell, what they are, mum and dad. Exactly, that's the point. You can't tell, you don't know, and they have no mechanism to stop on sale or foreign domination. None. And I say to those members over there, how is a person in my electorate, a real person, who Annette King and I met, a person I'd never seen a $36 a month power bill, a couple on 40 grand a year, struggling to make ends meet. I'd never seen a $36 a month power bill in my life till I went to this woman's house and I asked her how she did it, and these people are scratching for it. I said, how's the tucker? She said, my husband has 2 meals a day. And this was reported in the local reads. Oh, they're a bit more quiet now. How many of those people have fronted up in Ms Wilkinson's office when she's around, or David Carter's office? Does that woman and her husband, struggling 2 meals a day they have meat twice a week, if they can afford sausages. The last time they went out for a bit of a do was down to the Kaiapoi Working Men's Club 2 months ago to have 1 jug of beer between the 2 of them. Luxury souls that they are. So I say, how's that mum and dad actually going to sort of be awash with cash? And they think it's funny over there. David Carter thinks it's a real hoot. Well, when was the last time that member had sausages? I say, there's a few sausages on that side, no doubt, and a few meat patties ground away. But I say that member wouldn't have bumped into that woman or her ilk in many, many years. So how does those mum and dad Kiwis actually afford to whip down to the stock exchange and buy what they already own, given that they are awash with cash? And I say this, if a couple in New Zealand today are struggling to make ends meet, where the husband and the wife can only afford a couple of meals a day and turn the lights out, then we've got a problem in this country. We have a problem in this country. Where a couple have to turn the hot water cooler on for only 2 hours a day, we have a problem and the government is it.
Honourable David Carter.
Mr. Speaker, we